Now I've created a colour-coded drawing. I was hoping it was going to make it a lot easier, but it don't look that way, does it? Anyway, I'll try and explain how I wired this system up to make it work. Now, we couldn't find the fuse spur, and we couldn't even find all the wiring and the zone valves for the radiators. The customer had no clue where they were, and I wasn't going to start taking up carpets and floorboards, so we had to go with what we had. All I figured out was what was the live, neutral and earth going up to the boiler and what the switch live was when I stripped all the wires. Now then, I've put live, neutral and earth into these first three here. Let's take the hive, what we've installed. The hive required a live and neutral. Now there's also an earth connection there, which I didn't use because it's plastic and it doesn't really need it. So I've drawn the neutral. I used links so I wasn't trying to cram all the wires into the same block. So this is the neutral here, so it's feeding the nest, it's feeding the hive, and it's feeding the pump, being linked across here, which is feeding the boiler, coming from the fuse spur and going to the zone valve. Now, how does it work? So we have a live connection going into the hive, a permanent live, which I then linked with a little link. Rather than using another wire from here, I just linked it across into one which is common. Then when it switches over, it takes 230 volts down here for our switch live wire. So, power goes in, stat opens the switch, it then puts 230 volts down here. This now operates down the brown wire and operates the motor on the zone valve. Also, I had to use the pump live wire. So instead of using the switch live, I had to use coming from the stat live. So the calling for heat, because the nest stat was also wired into the same switch live wire. So when that was running and the underfloor wasn't, it was bringing the pump on. So the pump was staying on all the time. So the way I got over that was just by wiring it in. So the pump will only run when the stat is calling for heat. I would not have installed underfloor heating the way that